Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. Apparently the sale of Manchester United is off. The Glazers are going to stay until 2025 when they think they're going to get £10 billion for Manchester United. So this is the big breaking news. We'll go through it. We've also got another side to the story as well, because I'm going to say it from the start. The United Stand is the biggest outlet for fans, and we will get involved and back anything that helps Manchester United, and our door is open. But we do get a lot of criticism because, you know, we moan about the lack of transfers and things like that. Yet here we are, the morning after this breaking news, giving you a calm update and saying we don't believe this story. And yet, countless people last night, some of them would be classed as top reds, doing videos, articles, tweets, sensationalizing it, you know, calling everybody to not attend games and do protests, which people have been trying to do for over a year anyway. And I just think, is it Saturday night, they've been down the pub? Is it Saturday night, they realise it's Sunday tomorrow? Is it because the transfer window's open? It's irresponsible. It's hyperbole. Take a breath. Watch a film. Sleep on it. I saw it last night. People are going, are you going to go live? Absolutely not. Because a week ago, Neil Custis is saying that Qatar's buying us in October. A week later, the Glazers aren't selling anymore. And suddenly that's the truth. I think it's a complete and utter overreaction. I'll tell you why in a minute, and I'll give you other people's thoughts on it. But look, it's coming in from the Daily Mail. It's coming in from Nick Harris and Alex Miller. And they're saying from a source close to the Glazers that Man United will take off the market. Man United will be taken off the market by the Glazers after bidders failed to reach their asking price in a huge blow to furious fans as they hold out for 10 billion for the club. The Glazers are holding out for 10 billion to part ways with Manchester United. They've received offers, but they're not what they would want, and only Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim emerged as serious bidders. The hope is that if they put it back on the market in 2025, which is 2 years away, the market will bounce back and they will achieve what they're looking for, which is suddenly 10 billion and not 6 billion. So look, I think that's quite a big story. They're thinking about the World Cup in 2025. They're thinking about the World Club Cup in 2025. The World Cup is 2026, which could be very lucrative. And this is going to be hosted in the USA, so it will heighten interest from American billionaires into football investment. And the Glazers think they'll get somewhere between 7 and 10 billion. The owners believe that they've backed the manager, and basically that's where they're at. And it's not a massive story anyway. And apparently this is coming in from a source close to the Glazers. So I will say this straight away, right? On the face of that story, if that report is true, fair play, they've got a scoop. But the people who are writing that story are not the people who've been writing the stories about. It's not Bloomberg, it's not Mike Keegan, it's not Ben Jacobs, it's not a couple of others either. It's a story from a source close to the Glazers. The Glazers put an article out in November saying that they were looking for options to sell. One of those options may well not be to sell. I don't think they'd get in trouble for stock manipulation as some people think, because they did say they were looking at options. I think it's wrong that the stock exchange allow people to put statements out saying we might sell, we might not sell, because obviously the Glazers have made a lot of money from them, from the way the stock's gone up and down. But we're dealing with whether the club's up for sale here or not. And I don't believe that story changes anything. In fact, if anything, I think it's quite coincidental that the transfer window closes and 24 hours later we get a big story from a source close to the Glazers saying that they might not sell the club for a couple of years. My personal feeling is this is just enticement to Qatar or potentially Sir Jim to up their bid, because things are stalling at the moment. I don't believe that the Glazers aren't going to sell the club. I think that these people who are on social media and doing videos and articles saying, oh, this, that and the other, everybody needs to protest. But everybody's been telling people to protest for a year. Why are you now off a news article that might not be true, demanding everybody do things? Like, people can make their own choices and they don't have to follow the overreaction of people on a Saturday night from a source close to the Glazers. It's not the Rain Group, it's not Qatar, it's not Sir Jim, and it's not an official statement. Until we get those things, then I would take it with a pinch of salt and look forward to the game against Arsenal today. My personal opinion, I'll give you in a moment, but this is coming in from Ben Jacobs, who we've had on the show before. Now, some people don't like what he says because he's telling the truth about it might take a long time in the past, but this is what he said. This is from last night. I understand that the sale process is ongoing and little has changed. No sale always was a possibility, especially in light of the expanded Club World Cup. Those close to the Qatar side have said for some time they think their main rival is a no sale, not Sir Jim. As I said before, often in a takeover of this nature, which isn't the normal, the loser comes out and speaks first. We saw this with Chelsea, also run by the Rain Group. In that instant, the losers were informed they were out of the process before it was made public. Selling side sources this evening still stress nothing has changed. But if it has, and full respect to the news report from the Mail, the Glazers must surely speak publicly and clarify their position. They owe the fan base that if they have made up their mind. So, effectively, from Sir Jim, the Rain Group, Manchester United and Qatar, nothing has changed. But we are meant to react to this because of an article in the Mail. And as I said, a week ago, another article said that Qatar will have the club in October. It's way too premature. It's sensationalist. You get people moaning about, talking about a transfer that might not happen. And then you've got people last night talking to fans about this is the end of the world. This is ridiculous. And I just think, so one person's personal opinion on something goes viral and disrupts the whole fan base because they think it's true. There's no evidence to say it's true. It is a source close to the Glazers speaking to the Daily Mail. We have not had an official announcement. This would flip it the other way. A year ago, a source close to the Glazers say that the club is going to be sold. It's not an official announcement. I'm genuinely not concerned. I'm not saying I'm going to 100% be correct, but I'm genuinely not concerned. And you know me, a lot of people will say, oh, Goldbridge will be live within seconds, bursting a blood vessel. I've seen people's reaction to it last night. I kept watching the film, Godfather Part 2, and I wasn't stressed. And at no point did I think I'm going to put my pants on and go and do a stream about it. I was in my pajamas. I wasn't naked. Godfather 2 is not that sort of film. So I'm really not concerned by this. And you can do what you want to do. I'm concerned about the ownership of the Glazers, but you know why I'm not as concerned about this sale? Because I look at the facts and I go, so I'm meant to believe that the Glazers are not going to sell Manchester United until 2025 because there's a Club World Cup in America. Okay, that's 2 years away, right? So I'm going to believe that they're not selling the club because of the Club World Cup in America and the World Cup in America, because that's going to boost our price from 5 billion to 10 billion in 2 years. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm buying Man United stocks then, because I've never known any company that can boost its value in 100% in 2 years. So I call bullshit on that straight away. But more importantly, how the hell is Man United's value going to almost double in 2 years when we're not going to do anything in 2 years? And I would say to any brand, don't invest in Manchester United. Because as a football fan, we're a football club, and I don't see the trajectory. I think Erik ten Hag might be able to tread water with some of these players, but I look at rivals, we're bloody miles off. This season, if he gets top 4, he's worked a miracle. He has. I look at the stadium, it's rusting. I see it every bloody fortnight. It's rusting, it's breaking down. I look at our transfer window, most specific, the Amrabat deal. I'm very glad it happened in a footballing sense, but it's also an eye-opener on a business sense. We don't have £25 million to buy a player that Erik ten Hag wants to start. This is not a bench player that he'd like to have. This is a first-team player. We don't have £25 million and we haven't had it for 2 months. Amrabat's been training on his own for 2 months because Man United have been trying to put 25 million quid together that they haven't got. They still haven't got it. They've done a loan deal for 10 million euros and they'll go back next summer with some of the revenue from this season to buy Amrabat next season. People don't open their eyes and ears to things. We can only afford to give Fiorentina 10 million euros. We're going to have to find another 20 million euros next summer, which will come out of the revenue for next year, whether that's Champions League qualification or not. We're screwed in January and we're screwed in the summer. We've got no money and there's no prospect of money coming in. Even if you win the treble, it's not 500 million, it's a couple of 100 million. On top of probably another 100 million we'll make in revenue after, profit after revenue against wages. We are financially in trouble. Financially, we're in trouble. So anybody who thinks that the Glazers are in a position to go, let's wait 2 years, we're nearly $1 billion in debt when you take everything into account in relation to the normal debt, things that are owed, and obviously the fees we've still got to pay on outstanding transfers, plus the transfers this summer. We're not far off £1 billion in debt. The stadium, whether you build it or rebuild it, is between, well, close to 2 billion. There's infrastructure. We can't borrow anymore. We're in a very perilous position. And people are going, oh, they're going to wait 2 years. I said it a year ago. Before they were put for sale, I said in the next 2 years, they're going to sell the club because it's not the protests. It's not going in the Super League, although that is a factor. It's money. The Glazers have never put a pound of their own money into this football club. And right now, that club needs around 2 billion in it, ASAP. Where's the 2 billion coming from? The Tooth Fairy. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would not like to knock a lot of teeth out at Old Trafford, but, violence isn't the answer, and neither's the Tooth Fairy. So the club needs about 2 billion in it, ASAP, and people genuinely think we're going to wait 2 years, 2 transfer windows, 2 years, leaving Old Trafford to rust further, watching the team deteriorate further, because the Glazers think in 2 years' time it'll be worth 10 billion. How's a club that's not worth 6 now going to be worth 10 in 2 years when we're going to deteriorate? You know the cycle of Man United. You know this season's going to be difficult, and you know that it will be even worse next season because Liverpool will keep spending, Man City will keep spending. We're going to fall further behind, but the Glazers think we're going to be worth more in 2 years because of a Club World Cup. Wake up and smell the coffee. How many people have overreacted last night? When the thing is, I thought about it last night and I thought, I'm going to wait till the morning because everybody's getting really tense. Some people have had a drink. Some people, just want to overreact. And I'm like, I'm at the front of the queue to have a moan. I am. But on this, I'm like, calm bridge. I'm like, I am not concerned. At this moment in time, I'm just not concerned. They put us up for sale because they're broke. A year later, have they won the lottery? No. Has there been an influx of money into the club? No. Is there going to be? No. So why would you take us off the market for 2 years? I'm never going to not hear and say that the Glazers might stay and take some investment. That is an option. But I don't, for 1 minute, think they're going to take us off the market. And if they do take us off the market, there needs to be a public statement. If they do take us off the market, then we're going to hear about it from Qatar first. And if they do take us off the market, then I think you're going to see games getting cancelled. I really do. Because they will have completely and utterly flirted with the whole fan base and made them look like mugs. So I don't believe this story. In fact, I would predict this story will be followed up with a positive story about the sale in the next 24 hours. Because I just don't believe it's true. Now, you can get in the comments and have your say, but ultimately, my feeling is that this is inflammatory and a lot of our fans have overreacted because they're angry about the situation of the club in general, of which I am. But sometimes you've got to look at a story and say, it's a bit like waking up in the transfer window on a Sunday morning and it's saying we're going to sign Kylian Mbappe. I don't believe it. People can still write an article about it, but I don't believe it. And I don't believe that the Glazers are taking us off the market because of a Club World Cup in a couple of years' time that they think is going to double the value of Manchester United. I mean, how thick are American businessmen? I know the Glazers are a prime example of it, but as I said, if I was a really big brand, I would want to sponsor Manchester United because I'd want to put money into Man United to make them good. There's not many brands that support Manchester United. If I was a big brand, I wouldn't go anywhere near United at the moment. I'd be looking at City, I'd be looking at Arsenal, I'd be looking at Liverpool. Clubs on the up that look like they're going to stay consistently good for the next 5 years. I'm not even convinced Ten Hag will be the manager in 2 years' time because look at the cycle of how we run our football club. I'm not convinced Man United will be in the Champions League next year. I'm not convinced Man United will win a trophy in the next 3 years. We are not a viable option for a brand. And also, even if you look at it and go, well, we want eyes on the United fan base, if I'm a brand, am I putting my money in because Man United have got millions of fans and they might buy a car or a pair of sunglasses? Well, brands will do that, but look at the fan base. People are saying don't buy those brands. People are targeting those brands. We are not a viable business. And what the message needs to be, and I'm surprised we've never done this, protests are fantastic. We need a protest in relation to business people who will sit here and say, dear any prospective brand looking to come to Manchester United, we will actively tell our fans not to buy your brands. In fact, we will go to other brands. You know, if it's Chevrolet, we'll go to Ford. And I know we haven't got Chevrolet anymore. That's how we hit the Glazers in the pocket. Because if they're considering staying for 2 years, it'll be a financial reason, not a football reason. So we as fans need to look at the financials and go, yeah, protests are great, but we're a very, very powerful fan base, and there's lots of ways to get, you know, the United Stand can take part in this as well. If a specific brand is thinking about buying into Manchester United, then we go and buy from the other brand, and we basically, you know, demean and challenge that other brand and say, you know, Manchester United is not a place for you to sponsor at this moment in time. We will not promote, encourage, or buy your products. You are keeping the Glazers here. That's the clever way to do it. But brands aren't stupid anyway. There'll be people watching this show who are relatives or work at these places, and they'll be saying it in work tomorrow. Maybe we shouldn't be going near United while the Glazers are in charge. That's the way to do it, because if the Glazers are going to stay, it's going to be for money. But as I said, we can do all that. We should be doing that anyway, and we can do that. We can do that. I think protests are fantastic, but does it get rid of the Glazers? And if the Glazers are here, it's because of money, so we've got to look at how we hit them in the pocket. But they're already hitting the pocket, and the club's not going to suddenly blow up and make a load of money because it's a great football team. It won't. We might get beat by Arsenal today, which would be a really bad loss, and the club will be on its arse again. We are not on a good trajectory. The Glazers have got no money. The facts are there. I'm not worried about this story. Until it's official, I'm not worried, and I don't think it will be. But it's up to you. You can jump on it last night and start going this, that, and the other, and we need to do this, we need to do that. And to those people, I'd say it's a bit late. You know, people have been protesting and doing things for a long time. We still need to keep that up, and I think we need to look at things in a more financial way as well. But I'm not worried about this story. I'm convinced they're going to sell. I'm convinced they're going to take investment. I'm not convinced they're not going to sell, because I just don't think it makes any sense. Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video, and 100% get your comments in below, because they are going to be very interesting. Don't forget, we've got the watch along today. Let's focus on that. Speak to you in a bit. Positive Bridge.